everybody, how's it going? In this video I'm going to be talking about the best player from each team in your Premier League. I hope you like it, I hope you enjoy. Let's get started. Alright then, starting off with Arsenal, it's pretty obvious who the best player is. It's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. 55 goals in 87 matches, no one even comes close. At the end of the day, he's over 30 now, he's only got a couple of years left at that top level. But if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be very grateful that he's staying because, you know, he's always going to be fighting for the golden boot. 22 goals, 2 seasons in a row. Pretty impressive. Okay, next up we have Aston Villa, and once again, the next player on this list has also just signed a new contract. That man is Jack Grealish. You got to give an honourable mention to players like John McGinn, who's vitally important to the Villa team, but not as important as the England international himself. He brings something completely unique and different. There's a reason why teams like Man U and Arsenal were looking at him. Southgate may not like him, and he only plays in the last 10 minutes against Iceland, was it, or Sweden, some crap Nordic team. But Jack Grealish brings something completely unique. He's one of the best attacking ball carriers in your Premier League by far. Easily Aston Villa's best player, and he probably should move on to somewhere bigger and better. Okay, next up we've got Brighton, and this is quite a hard choice because there's 3 good, similar level players. Matt Ryan, Lewis Dunk and Ben White. I'm actually going to go with Lewis Dunk. I think he's the best defender out of him and Ben White. Ben White was great for Leeds on loan last season, but Lewis Dunk has really proven himself in the Premier League as a solid mid-table centre-back, and you could easily see him move on to a better club. Like Everton or even someone like Spurs potentially. Real old school English defender. Next up, again, very similar to Brighton, we've got Burnley, and they also have a couple of players who are all the same sort of level. Nick Pope, James Tarkowski, Dwight McNeil, Jay Rodriguez, all very good players. I'm actually going to go with Nick Pope as the best. I think as far as a goalkeeper goes, he's one of the best of the Premier League. How is he not England goalkeeper ahead of Pickford is a shocker. Henderson obviously is really good, but Nick Pope, that experience as well, I'll probably say he's the best Burnley player, but Dwight McNeil, close second. Okay, now we've got Chelsea, and this choice could change by the end of the season, but I'm going with Timo Werner. Based on his spell in Germany, how good a striker he is, he's probably the best player Chelsea have. But we'll have to wait and see till the end of the season if, he's not just a bust and scored 5 goals. Players like Havertz and Ziyech are all very good. Pulisic as well. But, Havertz, Ziyech, Thiago Silva, all of these are new. So they might not adapt to the Premier League. Usually, I'd probably say N'Golo Kante. But this season and last season, he's no longer a player that he once was. Still world class, but not as good as he once was. So I'd say Timo Werner for Chelsea. Okay, now we've got Crystal Palace, and this one, it's pretty easily, it's Wilfried Zaha. Personally, I think he's slightly overrated. I don't think he's £70 million that teams like Arsenal and Everton were offering or looking to buy. He's not that good. I don't think he's even Champions League quality. But in that Crystal Palace team, he is heads and shoulders above other players around him. Jordan Ayew is a pretty good striker. Winger, striker, whatever he is. Gary Cahill was once a very underrated centre-back. Christian Benteke is the best striker in the league. But for me, Wilfried Zaha is easily the best player on this team. Not as good as some people think he is, but compared to, Scott Dan and Patrick Van Aanholt, he's pretty good. Okay, next up we've got Everton. And under Carlo Ancelotti, this team is looking exciting. 2 good games to start the season with a lot of very good players looking very good. I mean, James Rodriguez has got to be the best player because he's a former. 6 years ago, he's played for Real Madrid, he's played for Bayern Munich. Richarlison, very good. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the way he's going, he might turn into a pretty good striker. Decore, just joined from Watford, good player. But James Rodriguez is, again, like Zaha, just that step above the rest of the Everton team. But I'm thinking Everton might be fighting for top 6 this season with the players they've got. And James Rodriguez is leading the way. Next up, we've got Fulham. And can I say Scott Parker is the best player? Because he's 10 times the player anyone on that Fulham squad is today. Obviously, you can't put a defender anywhere near this best player because it's proven in the last 2 games and proven when we were in the Premier League a couple of years ago they can't defend. Michael Hector, I mean, what is he even doing? So for that reason, it's obviously going to be Alexander Mitrovic. He's the best player they've got. He is their only hope of staying in the Premier League this season. If he can score goals consistently, they might just stay up. But there's not a single player in that team that really is Premier League worthy. There. Okay, next up we've got Leeds, and this is a pretty tough one because there's 2 big names jumping out to me. Obviously, one of them is not Patrick Bamford. It's Calvin Phillips or Pablo Hernandez. Phillips somehow got an England call-up, even though he's only in the Championship. But for me, I'd probably say Pablo Hernandez is the better player. Not by much, but he's, again, probably just... He brings something very different. And he's a very good attacking winger. And, or creative midfielder, whatever position he wants to play. He fits the Bielsa team spirit, team moulds so well. And next up we've got Leicester, and again this whole video is a bit harder than I expected because there's so many teams with players at all the same sort of level. Jamie Vardy, James Maddison, Kasper Schmeichel and Ricardo Pereira, all 4 of those could be considered the best. I'm probably going to go with Vardy. I mean, the man is, is he 33 now? He's scoring 20 goals a season still. He lives on Red Bull. He is unbelievable. He's everything that English football has been and always will be, which is just a pacey striker who runs in behind and then just slots it past the keeper. Brilliant. It's a shame he came around so late because we need more players like Vardy. Okay, now we've got Liverpool up next, and again this is tough choice because it's so controversial who you pick. I mean, Alisson is one of the best keepers in Wales. He changed Liverpool. The same can be said with Virgil van Dijk. But, or should I pick Mane or Salah? Both of them are two of the best forwards, best wingers in the world, if not probably the 2 best in the Premier League winger-wise, I would say. But I'm actually going to go with Van Dijk. He's not had, obviously, as good a season last year as he did when he won the Player of the Year. But he's still probably the best defender in the world, and he changed single-handedly, I'll say, changed that Liverpool team from title challengers to title winners. Van Dijk, best player in Liverpool right now, I'll say. Okay, Man City now, and this is probably the easiest choice in the list. It didn't even cross my mind who it could be. The same with Arsenal with Aubameyang, and same with Villa with Grealish. Straight away, I looked at Man City and I thought, Kevin De Bruyne. In my opinion, he's my favourite player in the world. I love watching him. He's perfect at everything he does. And he has his own stamina meter as well, like it's on FIFA. You know when to sub him off because his cheeks have gone all red, which is great as a manager because you know when he's tired. Fantastic. But, he is possibly the best creative midfielder in the world. No, not possibly. He is the best creative midfielder in the world, and he is only 1 step below players like Messi and Ronaldo. Okay, next up we've got Manchester United, and usually I'd probably say David De Gea, but the past couple of seasons his stock has lowered massively. Rashford, I think, overrated. Martial, overrated. They haven't signed Sancho, so you can't say him. So for that reason, and Pogba, we'll go and get me started on Pogba. I'd say Bruno Fernandes. The way he's changed the Manchester United team, still early days in his career at Man U, but the way he's changed the team and the way that when he came in January, they suddenly took it to the next level. He's so creative as well, and he'll see passes that other players can't even imagine. So for that reason, he's probably easily the best player at Manchester United, because it's not going to be Maguire. Okay, next up we've got Newcastle, and so far they've been doing some pretty cheeky business this year. Signing Jeff Hendrick, I mean, no, he's not the best player in the world, but he's a good addition to the squad. Ryan Fraser, Callum Wilson, 2 top quality players for a mid-table team in your Premier League. For me though, I would say their best player is probably their most exciting player to watch, and that's Alan St-Maximin. He's not necessarily going to play 38 games a season, but when he's on the ball, things happen, and players around him have more space to do things. He drags so many players away, and he's just so fun to watch. So for that reason, he's the best player Newcastle have. Okay, now we've got Sheffield United, and this is probably the hardest actual choice in the entire league, because they don't have any standout players. Last season, I easily would have said Dean Henderson, but this year, none of their players really stand out as being that much better than everyone else, because they're very much a team, and they're a team full of similar level players that work well together. No one is unique, really, the team. They're missing that exciting striker, I think, that will take them to the next level. And I think they might struggle this season without a clinical goal scorer. But anyone that had fantasy football last year, I'm going to pick John Lundstrom, because he was a midfielder that was playing in defence. So all the points he got you, it's going to be him, just if you like fantasy football. So, there you go. Okay, next up we've got Southampton, and with Emil Højbjerg leaving to go to Tottenham, I would probably say it makes it a lot easier to choose this one, and I'm going to go with Danny Ings. The former Liverpool striker has had a tough time, really, the past 10 years. He came through really strong, scoring lots of goals, joined Liverpool, and it never really worked out for him. He's joined Southampton, and he's been injury-free, which is, fantastic for him. He got over 20 goals last season. Next up, we've got Tottenham Hotspur, and with Gareth Bale coming in, there might be a change depending on how well he plays. But for me, it's Harry Kane. He is the best England striker we've had since Michael Owen came through. He's an old-fashioned, clinical goal scorer, but it's not just his shooting. He's an all-round, complete forward, and I think that goes unnoticed how good his passing is as well. But he's not on here for his passing, he's on here for his shooting. He's one of the best strikers in Wales. I would probably say only Robert Lewandowski is better than him, and that's because he's just a machine. But Harry Kane, on his day, when he's fit, one of the best strikers in Premier League history. Okay, next up we've got West Bromwich Albion, and to be honest, I didn't watch too many West Brom games last season. I'm not really bothered by them. I just find them just boring. I don't really care. I like the manager, I like Bilic, but West Brom don't do anything for me. So my opinion on this player is based more on reports and hearsay than my own personal experience with him. But for that reason, it's going to be Pereira. Apparently he's very good. I've seen the 2 games that he's been in so far this season, and he looks quite good, but don't really take my word for this one. Now we've got West Ham United, and this is a bit of a toss-up as well between Declan Rice, Felipe Anderson, and the keeper, Fabianski. I feel like Declan Rice could be the best player West Ham have had in the last 20 years, apart from Payet, obviously. But he's not quite at that level yet, so for that reason, I'm actually going to go with Fabianski. I think for West Ham over the past few seasons, and since he joined the club, he's been such an important part of the team, and he's been keeping them out of the relegation zone. Last season it was tight, and I think this season's going to be tight as well. But I think with Fabianski in goal, they're probably going to be safe. Not by much. Okay, and finally we've got Wolverhampton Wanderers, and Raul Jimenez is the best player on the team. Again, clinical, complete forwards. No one even comes close. Conor Cozy, fantastic centre-back. Adama Traore, he's strong and can run. Des Oyosa, he's just left Liverpool now. But, Ruben Neves, actually, I forgot about him. Fantastic midfielder. But none of these are as good as Raul Jimenez. He's so good. And with him, Wolves can go to the next level. Without him, I think they'll drop into mid-table obscurity. Jimenez, if he were to leave Wolves and go to a team like Man U or Tottenham, no one would bat an eye. He's that good. Alright then everybody, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, share, etc, etc, etc. Next time, I'm thinking of doing most overrated player for each team, or maybe even most underrated player for each team. Let me know what you prefer, because, obviously, I'm doing it for you lot, and myself, to be fair. So, see you next time.